Welcome to this week's episode of Local Threads. I'm Molly, your host, and this week I'm sitting down with Dana Campbell. Dana owns Shuttle Press Bindery out of Stonington, Connecticut. Dana makes everything by hand using printing presses from the 1800s. And yes, one of them belonged to her great-grandfather. Let's get into it. Welcome all the way from Connecticut.
Thank you.
What town are you in again?
I'm in Stonington.
And for people who don't know, that's just outside of Mystic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mystic is technically a subset of Stonington.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we're like right on the water, right on the border with Rhode Island.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. How's it like? Are you born and raised there?
Yeah, so I grew up in Stonington, graduated from high school there, and then I actually moved up to Massachusetts, like North Shore area, for a little over a decade, but then I went back after the pandemic.
How did you get into bookbinding and pressing?
Yeah. So I went to art school. Since I was a little kid, I was always interested in art. I just never really knew exactly where I was going to end up. But when it came time for me to choose a college, I knew I wanted to pursue illustration and graphic design. That was like the most practical way that I could get into art professionally. So I attended Montserrat College of Art, which is in Beverly, Massachusetts, and studied. I was a double major, studying both graphic design and illustration, fulfilling all the requirements. And senior year, it actually turned out that I had credits left over, and so I could kind of explore and do whatever I wanted. And at that time, I was sort of having this realization that if I went the route of graphic design and illustration, I was going to be sitting behind a computer for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that didn't sit well with me. I was kind of having a little sort of identity crisis of like, is that really the type of artist I want to be?
Yeah.
Fortunately, Montserrat has a book arts department and a letterpress printmaking department. I took as many classes as I could, fell head over heels in love with both of them. And of course, these are crafts that have long gone together and sort of intersected. And just, kind of fell in love in that moment. And then later found out that my great-grandfather was a letterpress printmaker, and his printing press was stowed away in my grandmother's basement, just waiting for me. So,
wow, that is so cool. And honestly, that tears me up because you know how many times I've had this discussion and people have later found out that, this person in my life, and it's so like
there's
serendipitous. Yeah.
There's something, I always say I have ink in my blood. Like I'm, to stumble into the same thing 4 generations removed from a person is kind of incredible. That was my sign from the universe that I was on the right path.
That's so awesome. Yeah. So you have your grandfather's equipment your shop.
I do. So my great-grandfather's tabletop printing press is the press that I started my business on back in 2014. I was just working out of my home little tabletop press, selling on Etsy and little like church fairs and pop-ups and things like that. I do still have that press at my shop. I have since upgraded to floor model presses just because the speed and sort of efficiency and the printing pressure was something I needed when I scaled up. But yeah, the press is a part of my fleet still.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So were you like a reader?
Yeah.
Big time?
Yeah. I've been a reader my whole life. I've been a book lover, book appreciator my whole life. And I think, when I was at Montserrat and I discovered this as an art form, it just kind of clicked because it was the intersection of things that I loved, right? I love working with my hands and I love being creative and I love books.
Yeah.
And they all kind of crashed into each other. And it was this place where art and utility met, where I could make beautiful things that then go out into the world and serve a purpose. It's somebody's journal. It's somebody's guest book at their wedding. It's a part of a person's life.
Yeah.
And that was just so cool to me, to be able to make things that then kind of have life beyond just the creation.
Yeah.
That's
pretty cool. Yeah. And I love that. I just can't get over that. So when you told your family that you're switching, is that how you found out?
So it was Essentially, I had already completed both of my degrees, and it was just like I was playing around with the time I had left.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things where, you come home from school and your family's asking you, like, oh, you ready for graduation? And like, what have you been up to? What are you excited about? And I just remember having this conversation where I was sort of explaining the book arts and the letterpress and my enthusiasm for it. And my grandmother just kind of got this strange look on her face. And of course, I was worried at first. I was like, Grandma, what's going on? Are you okay? And she's like, my father was a printmaker, and I have memories of hearing the little tinkering of the printing press in the basement. And, that was something that he did as a hobby. And she's like, I'm just amazed that of all the things for you to find, that's something that you found.
And then the discussion never came up before, you know?
Yeah. So it was really amazing. And I'm very fortunate because I think my great-grandfather passed away when I was like 8 or 9 years old, so I do have some memories of him, not a ton.
Yeah.
But what I wouldn't give to like sit down with him today and just talk about this, because at the time that I knew him, I never could have imagined that this would be my path. But here we are. So
do you have pictures of him and his press?
I have a picture. I don't have any pictures of him with the press, unfortunately. But I do have a picture of him and my great-grandmother at my studio so that they kind of like watch over me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I actually named the press after my great-grandmother, kind of in her honor, because she was also creative. She used to do tatting, which is making lace by hand.
Oh, that is so difficult.
Gorgeous,
and it's such a dying craft, similar to leatherworking and bookbinding. And yeah, it's just so cool. And it's so funny you say that, because I was going to ask you if you named your press, but I was like, maybe that's weird.
No,
I don't know.
It's not. All of my presses have names.
That's so cool.
I think that it's it's like naming a ship. Like this is a piece of history first and foremost. But it's also an item that I forge a relationship with.
Yeah.
And each press has its own personality. And each press that I've had has gone through a restoration process where I've had to kind of get to know the ins and outs of the press. It's not like I can call somebody up. Like there's no letterpress mechanics anymore, There's nobody to come out and service these things. So for me, it's been a journey of discovery of like who the press is and like what their strengths are. And so in that way, I've sort of personified them and then given them names.
Yeah.
So, my first press named after my great-grandmother is Imogene.
I love that.
My big floor press is from the 1880s. And that one I named Frida, after Frida Kahlo, who's a huge inspiration to me. Each press has a different story.
That's really interesting.
Amazing.
So you've got the graphic design and illustration, so that helps you with creating what you want to. So really, you don't have to outsource really anything but material.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is really great. You do your own maintenance on your presses, which is a dying art. Like I know that you do classes. It's almost like, would you offer a class on that as well? Because
I mean, in theory, I think the press maintenance and restoration side is really about research and really about just trying to find other people online who are either in it or going through the same thing. Every once in a while that you'll get lucky and you'll strike gold online. As an example, my press Molly is a 1904
That's me.
model. Woohoo! And she came out of a scrapyard.
Relatable.
It was a restoration project, but I was able to actually find someone who had uploaded the original manual for the press online and had scanned it in. So I was able to like find that and print it off.
Just an example of like the internet being useful for something now.
It's a miracle, right?
And that's also the beauty of what you do is like it can't be taken by AI.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. My stuff is AI proof 100%.
You're AI proof.
I am AI proof. And what's amazing too is, these printing presses are 100% human powered. Like no electricity required. Some people will motorize their letterpress machines, and like that's something for future when I get a little older and I don't want to do it. But for now, my presses are either the tabletop ones are hand operated and the large format ones are foot pedal operated.
That's awesome.
So even if the lights go out, I can still print away.
Yeah.
No worries.
In the apocalypse, I'm gonna have to come to you for
Right.
for news, and I can create some zines.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, wouldn't be mad if that happened.
I know, right? Let's start over.
Yeah. Hit the control,
Back to
delete.
basics. Yeah.
Delete some of
Yeah.
this shit and regroup.
Mhm.
I want to look at some of your books
Sure.
here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I brought a few different examples of books that I've made. All of the books that I produce are first and foremost hand-bound, so needle and thread. We're starting with big reams of paper that are cut down on an antique guillotine into size. Yes, I have a very large guillotine from the early 1900s with a 26-inch steel blade.
Okay, I'm coming over.
Named Marie, because of course a guillotine has to be named Marie. But yeah, so cutting down paper, folding, punching holes by hand sewing, hand finishing, everything is a handmade process. All of the structures that I bind are based on historic bookbinding structures. I obviously make much more modern design, paper, color choices, things like that. But the spirit of all of these bindings is deeply rooted in history.
And it's so consistent. Like the stitching is so consistent. And maybe it's stupid to say, but like something that you're doing, it takes so many, I hate that term, man hours, but workable hours doing each one of these tasks. And then you see stuff that's for sale at like Barnes & Noble and it's a disaster.
Yeah. I know the quality standards of mass-produced journals is like horrifying to me.
The price point.
I love what I do. I'm very, very lucky.
And that's rare.
Yeah.
Especially so early in your life, being able to love what you do from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so you always worked for yourself.
So I started the business in 2014, which was right at the end of college. I did work a couple of corporate jobs that kind of carried me through the early days of the business. When I first graduated, I actually worked for a stationery company. So I was like doing digital like wedding invitations and printing those out and doing that type of stuff. And then I pivoted to working for a toy company for a couple of years where I was designing toys and their packaging, which was so much fun. It was such a good time. And that really gave me a lot of packaging experience, which I now use for packaging my products. Not a ton of stuff that I have has packaging, but the things that do have packaging, it's like, oh yeah, I've got this, you know?
That's so great. I mean, I love it to see when someone's path, not that it wasn't hard, because being art school, super hard. Even just getting into art school, that's hard. I didn't do it. I got too scared.
It's a process for sure.
Yeah.
It really makes you challenge yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was like, I'm 40. I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. I quit. I'm going to do a podcast.
And here we are.
But no, like, I love just seeing someone not have to go through the trenches before they figure out where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, like I said, for me, and the privilege of the situation is not lost on me. Like having a family history is a huge leg up. But for me to kind of stumble into it, just like, let's try this class. And to have that moment of clarity of like it was like I was struck by lightning. You know, it was like, wow, like this is where I belong. And that is so cool. And then to have the family history that kind of gave me the boost to say, like go get it. Like pursue this. That was my sign, you know, and I was able to work corporate jobs long enough that I was able to do this on the side, but still sustain myself. And then it sort of just systematically grew. And then the real turning point for my business actually came during the pandemic because my corporate packaging job laid me off and I was home and everybody was shopping online.
Yeah.
And so I was at my home studio binding books, putting them on Etsy and selling them to people while we were all locked down. And so, you know, word kind of started to spread and I was printing, you know, more things at home. And that was just kind of when I think culturally we also started to shift towards this like, hey, I might get sick and die tomorrow. Like, I want to have something that's nice. Like, if I'm going to write in a journal, it's not going to be some like mass market, mass produced crap. I'm going to invest in myself because I deserve it because I might not be alive next year.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really dark.
No, it's
but
real.
I really did see this sort of shift of people wanting things that were more bespoke and better quality and specifically theirs.
Yeah.
So,
and also just wanting to write on a physical thing and not type.
And then I think there's a lot of people who are just sort of like entering this space for the first time. I have a little sign at my studio that says, "Life is short, use the good paper." And that came from this little old lady who came into my shop. And I remember, actually, I think it was at a show. And she was, looking at my books and kind of like, oh, you could see she was like struggling with making the investment. And talked to her a little bit. And she's like, yeah, I feel like I need a space to really kind of work on my feelings. And so we chatted. She ended up, moving on. But later in the day, she came back. And she ended up buying a journal. And she said, I was thinking about it. And she said, life's too short not to use the good paper. And for her, it was a significant investment. But for her, it was like the first time in her life that she was really making space for herself to express herself and what she was feeling. And to be a part of that is like such an honor.
Cry.
I know.
Older people are, when they're sweet.
Yeah.
God, I love them,
Yeah.
Because they have so much insight in just a short little passing statement.
Yeah, there's wisdom in that for sure.
Yeah. And magic. Honestly. So you have classes.
I do.
Let's get to know you a little more before we get into the classes. Sure. So what are some of the things that you do for fun outside of bookbinding and
So, it kind of changes all the time.
Same.
I'm one of those artists who is like, oh, piece of candy. You know, like I have to go try that. I have to do this. So it's a variety of things. Right now, or at least the last year or so, my main focus has been collage, which is...
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, there's a collage cover here. But it's been interesting because last January, a little over a year ago, the business had really, really grown, and I was like not necessarily feeling burnt out, but just the holiday season for a retail-centered business is a challenge.
Yeah.
And so that January, I was like, all right, I'm just going to take like a week off, and I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to answer emails. And I dove head first into this collage art, and I realized as I returned back to my studio that I spent the entire week off destroying books in the service of art. So it was kind of this sort of ironic twist that like I spend my time fixing books and making new books, and then on my time off, I'm destroying them in service of making new things. So collage art is one of my sort of like primary creative outlets for myself personally. I also make zines.
Oh, fun.
I love zines and trading zines and doing that type of stuff.
Do you offer that in your...
I'm thinking about it.
should.
I'm actually in the process of organizing a zine fest. So more coming on that. I also do, little mini collage artist trading cards. I try to trade with other artists. I love to trade. If you're another artist, trading is like the way. Like, screw capitalism. I'm all about trading. And then I also write poetry, and I play ukulele.
Oh, nice.
And I embroider and I paint. I mean, really, like
anything.
Whatever. I dabble in everything.
What is something that's making you laugh lately?
So...
it could be the biggest brain rot. I don't care.
I know.
I'm totally stealing this question from a different podcast, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Because I just love to laugh. I'm a goofball.
Yeah. I do too. And it's like, it's sad for me to say that like nothing immediately comes to mind right now just because of like this hellscape that we're in.
No. You know what I like? I like it when kids fall down. Really.
Me too. Yeah.
Like, it could be like, oh, the world's burning, and then a kid falls like tumbling down. Like,
absolutely
hilarious.
Yeah, I'm there for it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I haven't seen one of those videos in a while.
But when you find one,
yeah,
for sure.
Pretty great. Honestly, I've ran out of shit. It's got to be something really weird for me to get into it.
Right.
Even TV, right?
Yeah.
I think I've watched literally everything. I'd rather watch a vlog.
Yep.
Someone learn how to do something weird.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of artists making shit.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I like to kind of put on stuff in the background where it's like chat and make, where you kind of have
Yes.
that like body doubling,
Yeah.
situation
It
going
really
on.
helps.
It's really helpful. It's really
God.
helpful to just process through things that way.
Yeah. And also it's inspiring,
It is.
but also can be defeating because, like, when I'm watching a YouTube and it's 30 minutes and I know this thing took weeks to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can so easily
Right.
get frustrated.
It's like oversimplified. It's like, I
Yeah.
know that there's editing in there. Like,
Yeah.
I know that that didn't happen in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Let's see. In your family, do you have any other artists?
So, yeah, I would say that there's a lot of creative, sort of crafty people in my family. Both of my grandmothers in particular, like they both sew. I learned sewing and quilting from my grandmother. She helped me make like jackets and clothing when I was a teenager, different things that I wanted to create. So, they've always really nurtured in me that sort of creative side. One of my other grandmothers used to always, when I was a kid, the like special day trip we would take is out to AC Moore, which doesn't even exist anymore, but you might remember their stores, the Michaels kind of. And she would just bring me and let me explore whatever sort of craft or art project I wanted to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been nice to kind of grow up in an environment that nurtured the creative side.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That's a recurring theme I'm noticing from all my guests. Which I love that.
Yeah.
But also, if you're listening, check in on your grandparents. Maybe they can teach you something.
Yeah. But understand that there is a lot to be learned. And I think, that's part of what my business means to me is the intersection of history and modern practice.
Yeah.
Because, like I said before, there's structures here that are all historic, and I'm using historic printing presses. And I'm learning a lot from the generations that came before. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that. Granted, this letterpress in particular, but both letterpress and book arts were always male-dominated industries. I mean, I have a printing press that's quite literally from the late 1800s that was designed and marketed towards boys because that was a promising career to grow up and be a printmaker. So I'm a woman existing in a space that was not originally for me, but we're taking it back.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, female letterpress printers out there who are kind of taking this big step for women in printmaking, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to both learn from the past, and there are moments of pushback, but also to like forge a new path and be like, yeah, this isn't just a boys' club anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, look at me. I can do what you can do.
Yep.
Interesting how that works out.
Right.
So your classes.
Yeah.
What all do you offer?
So I teach a variety of bookbinding classes. Things from absolute beginner, I've literally never picked up a needle and thread in my life, all the way through to I've taken all of the basics and I want to do something a little bit more intermediate to advanced. So my like beginner bookbinding 101 is the pamphlet stitch. It's very, very easy to learn, very easy to replicate at home. My class lasts about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, depending on how many people are in it. You walk away having made 3 books at the end of it, fully complete. I'm not going to send you home with anything that you have to finish at home. And you'll have a really solid foundation to continue your practice at home. I always send a follow-up email with all the materials you need, where you can get things if you don't have them. Taking a step up from there, my more intermediate beginner classes, I do the leather wrap style journal, like the one that you see here. I do it as a slightly smaller one, but it's the same stitching style.
This looks really hard.
It's actually not. It's deceptive. It looks a lot more difficult than it is. And then I also offer, and I unfortunately didn't bring one today, but I offer a Japanese style binding, which is really fun.
Is that the one that's like patchwork?
It's they're usually very geometric.
Yeah.
So those are kind of like my medium beginner classes. And then I just started teaching this one with the exposed binding. That one is a 2-night class. And you learn how to do the different stitching using some different tools and things like that. So as more and more people take my classes, I try to add more so that I can expand upon the skills that we learn.
I just want to point out, look at that. How nice that sits.
Yeah, almost all of my bindings, with the exception of the Japanese style, will open completely flat. I work with a lot of writers and I work with a lot of artists, and that seems to be a non-negotiable. Everybody wants their books to open flat, and I hear you.
I'm left-handed, so
yeah,
it's a struggle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's interesting too. This also opens flat, but this is a historic binding called a do-si-do. This is from the Victorian era originally, and it's 2 books back to back.
What?
So
I've never even seen anything like that.
A lot of people will use, like I said, writers and artists, write in the front, draw in the back. Or I've seen people who will do journals. It's like a morning journal and an evening journal, or a couple's journal. Like one person writes in the front, the other person writes in the back. So these are really fun structures to explore. There you go.
Just when you think you've seen everything. This is really good. I thought it was just 2 books next to each other.
No, it's 1 book, but it's 2 in 1, I guess.
Do you teach this class?
I'm going to be. That one's coming up. I've had that one as a request, so I'm planning on writing that for probably later in the year. I would say my fall or winter cycle this year is when I'll start introducing things like that.
Oh, this is really cool. And these are all on your site though.
Yeah.
For purchase.
I for the most part, because right now I do have an Etsy. There's not a ton on there, I will admit, because it's just hard to keep up with, especially given that I have a brick and mortar. My studio is a combination retail and workspace. And then I also travel frequently throughout New England to attend shows and fairs. But you can see examples of all of these on my website. You can see them on my social media. I take custom orders all the time. So if you see something, even if it's from years ago, and you go, hey, I really like this style, or I really like that paper, whatever it is, I can work with you to try and create whatever it is that you're seeking. So if you don't see it on my Etsy, it doesn't mean it's not available. It just hasn't been made for you yet.
I'm such a journal junkie. And this one is blowing my mind that it's 2, because for one, I'm a Gemini. And that just, this 2 in 1 really speaks to me. It really does. I'm blown away.
Yeah.
So you also do book restoration.
I do. Yep.
How's that work?
So this part of the business was born out of people just asking me, hey, do you repair books? If you go anywhere and you sell handmade books, inevitably the question arises, do you fix them too? For the longest time, my answer was no. Reason being, book repair and book binding, while closely related, are different crafts. You can imagine that if you're working on a book, the oldest book I've ever worked on was from 1611.
Whoa,
right?
Pressure.
So, pressure. But you have to imagine, you crack open a book from 1611. That book was most definitely handbound.
Yeah.
And you need to have the knowledge, the skill, and the material to do that book justice and to understand what the original binder did, how to repair it properly without causing a problem somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I had to go for additional training that was beyond what I learned at Montserrat. I went to Ramon Townsend down in Pennsylvania, who is a master bookbinder, book repair person. Did an intensive class with him for a weekend. Additionally, have gone for further education at the North Bennett Street School in Boston to do some sort of leather tooling and things like that. So it required further training. But enough people were asking about it that I was like, okay, this is something I need to invest in. Took the classes, started practicing, and then the books started coming in and word of mouth spread. And it's been amazing because, good for me, bad for everybody is that I really don't have a lot of competition in this space. There are people doing this, but we're very few and far between. So once it was established that I can fix your old family Bible or your, beloved cookbook or your favorite children's book that you've worn to pieces, it really just became a huge part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality of it, and this is a wonderful thing for me, is that if I wanted to close my doors to the retail side and do nothing but book repair, I very likely could do that, and that would sustain me.
Oh, wow.
But at this point, I do take on every book pretty much that comes through my doors. That's what helps me to really have time and money to do all of the creative things that I want to do. It really has boosted my business. So as of right now, I have just about 50 books in my studio for repair. My wait list is about 6 months long and growing. So
that's awesome.
That's something people are interested in. Time is definitely of the essence, but I find that most people, these books have been in disrepair for so many years at this point, they're willing to wait another 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, it's because it's not like they're opening it now.
Right, exactly.
That's fascinating. So do you know because I'm a New England transplant, is there like a history? I know there's textile history here in New England. Is there like bookbinding and letterpress history here?
There is. And that's one of the really cool things about this is that it feels so true to New England history.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, my primary press, Frida, that I mentioned to you, is the actual model name is a Ben Franklin Gordon Peerless Press. So Phineas Gordon, the person who designed the press, was originally from New Hampshire. The press was manufactured in New York, which is outside of New England, but close enough that we'll, call it the same region.
Yeah.
Molly was made in Boston.
Hey.
A lot of the presses that I have, my original press from my great-grandfather was from Meriden, Connecticut, produced in Meriden, Connecticut by the Kelsey Company. So a lot of these machines have not traveled very far from their point of origination, which is really cool. And it's, a testament to the history and the culture and kind of what brought New England up through the years historically. So
that's really awesome. Yeah. I would never know that. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the manufacturing industry, and so I know that New England has a huge, but I was on a different side of it. So it's fun to learn about letter presses and just all of the textile mills that are out here. Like your studio is in an old mill as well, right?
Yes. So studio is located in a building called the Velvet Mill.
Oh, cool.
And that's what it used to be. It was it was built, I believe, in 1885, somewhere around there. Was a velvet mill, produced some of the most high quality velvet in New England for a good amount of time. We still, if you visit the mill, we have some historic photographs and some, sort of like museum pieces of what the mill used to be. It has since been converted into a variety of different small businesses. So we have a beautiful art gallery, a bunch of art studios. We've probably got 20 or 30 different artists under one roof. We have bakeries, we have restaurants, we have a distillery, we've got a brewery.
That's awesome.
We've got karate, we've got like an indoor, our farmer's market is indoors in the winter, outdoors in the summer. There's so much to explore. It's really, and little retail shops, gift shops, things of that nature, lots of antiques.
Love that.
And then a lot of people offering services as well. We've got like hair studios, we've got a barber in there. We've got, places where you can have a workout. We've got a cycling center. I mean, it's really a very diverse little ecosystem that we've created in Stonington.
Some of these Massachusetts mills need to listen up. You need food. You need food so that you can stay in the building as long as possible. There needs to be food. For crying out loud. Get a restaurant.
Absolutely.
And also so the artists don't have to leave to get food. It's so annoying. When I had my studio at a mill building, going to get food was such a pain.
It interrupts the whole flow of your day.
And then I remember one time I was like eating. I just was like, I'm just gonna bring cans of beans because I don't have a microwave. I can't leave anything out because it's an old building. The mice are gonna find it. And then I'm just like, I'm just gonna eat cold pinto beans.
There you go.
Whatever.
You got your protein. You're good.
Yeah, exactly. But like my neighbor would be like, "What are you doing? I'm like, and I probably would have like not even a fork. I would be eating it with some obscure piece of plastic, or just like drinking it.
Yep.
Which is so embarrassing, but
It's
whatever.
fine.
I'm weird. I can't
It's
help
all
it.
good.
Um,
Weird people are the best people.
Honestly, it is. So your classes run year round?
They do. I will say they kind of ebb and flow with the seasons. Part of the challenge of being in an old mill building is that I'm very much subject to the elements. So in the summer, it's
hot.
really hot.
Yeah.
My studio space in particular, I have the way the building is designed, it's called a sawtooth roof. And it's basically like a greenhouse. Like when I look up in my studio, it's these big windows, which is great because I get tons of sunlight. But in the summer, it's very, very warm. And in the winter, it gets very, very cold. So I have to kind of be a little bit intuitive when it comes to planning classes just so that people aren't like super uncomfortable. I also have to plan around show schedules because basically from April through the fall, but then we also have like the holiday fair season. I'm traveling like between here and Portland, Maine, trying to go to as many sort of art festivals and craft fairs and things of that nature to kind of get my stuff out there. So
how do you find the time?
Well, I mean, this is my full-time job.
No,
so
I know.
This is it, you know?
But between making books, going to all of these markets, teaching classes, repairing. Did I already say repairing books? I don't know. Can't remember. I black out as soon as things come out of my mouth. But also just like updating your website, all this shit that artists have to do. And if you have a social media presence, there's that crap too. That everybody just loves to do that.
Oh, yeah. I call it when I it's my daily sacrifice to the social media algorithm.
Honestly.
But honestly, lately, especially with just kind of the way that the algorithms have been, I've been taking a back seat on my socials. Like I'll post every few days, but at this point, I'm like, I'm done with being chronically online. Like there's a reason I do what I do. It's because I love being present and in the moment. Like bookbinding is a meditative, present, I'm here now process. And that's really
it's such a physical
where it speaks to me.
And mental process. Similar. That's why I like sewing so much. Less even about the end product for me, just like having to pay attention and use my hands. And that's great. It's therapeutic.
Absolutely.
And it also just makes you mentally and physically tired, which there's not a lot of things that still do that. Well, everybody's working on the computer or they're just scrolling. So my whole thing was like, let me talk to ethical businesses. And what I've decided is that if you aren't someone who employs thousands of people, if you're a singular business, whatever that means, an
sole entity,
a single person making things with your hands, I'm not as pressed as how you get your materials as I am for the bigger businesses because you guys aren't ruining the planet. Leather is 100% better than vegan leather. Vegan leather is a scam, and I will die on that hill. I don't give a shit what you think. It is plastic.
It's terrible for the planet.
It's terrible for the planet, and it's also just another greenwashing lie.
There's also really sustainable leather out there. Like, I don't have examples here today, but I do use fish leather in my studio.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is a byproduct of the food industry. Like, it's most often, I believe it's salmon that they end up tanning. Beautiful skins available in a variety of different textures and colors. They don't smell, they're really beautiful product and very, very sustainable.
I've seen some people recently upcycling or creating like corsets with fish skin. I don't know exactly what kind of fish. But one thing I'm tired of us as a society being so purity based, like come on. We can't be this way and progress. We got to meet each other where we are. People are still eating meat, myself included. I don't know how I feel about that for myself. I know it's one of the number one causes of CO2 emissions. I'm tired of everyone trying to act like they're saints.
Right.
Living in a society that makes it really hard for you to do anything correctly.
Right. Well, and I think part of the responsibility as a person on this planet, and especially as a creative, is sort of being thoughtful about your impact and understanding that you can't save everybody, you can't save everything, but you can make a difference.
Yeah.
So in my studio, as an example, I would say about half of the leather that I use is actually from a handbag maker. It's their scrap that they sell basically in big bags, like by the bag leather scrap.
Mm-hmm.
For them, it's useless. So they're creating high-end handbags. They don't want the rough edge. They don't want the brand mark. They don't want the scar. For me, that's what gives my books personality.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that's gold. So I'm taking their scrap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making books out of it that then go off into the world. And then beyond that, as I work with these materials, I have leather bookmarks. I have leather keychains. I have products that are progressively more and more smaller pieces until it gets to a point where I can't use it. And then I have a big scrap bin where I sell scrap by the bag at my shop.
Yeah.
So people come in, whether they're into junk journaling or making jewelry or crafting, or they need to patch a hole in their leather jacket, you can dig through my leather scrap bin, walk away with whatever you need. And we basically just keep reusing until there's literally no material left.
Yeah.
I take, my paper scraps from my guillotine and I make paper with them.
No, it's I think it needs to be talked about. We're like, especially with everybody like on their soapboxes on the internet. They don't know what goes on in the fashion industry or even just like the consumer good industries where most things are white labeled and then you stamp your logo on it and it's made from who knows where.
Right.
If we all just try to make small changes,
Yeah.
that's all we can do.
Right.
And also just supporting small businesses.
Keeping it hyper-local has been such a big topic in the circles that I've been in, the creative circles in particular, because right now, I think with what's happening in our country, everybody feels really powerless and we feel really kind of torn apart and really like there's something deeply wrong. And for me, the healing comes in turning local.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, like as an example, talking about book repair, I would say that 90% of the books I repair are Bibles. I'm a queer lady bookbinder.
Yeah.
I can't say with confidence that all of my clients have like vote with my best interests in mind.
Yeah.
But providing those people with a good experience where they come in and they talk to me face to face and I help them with this heirloom book that has meant so much in their family history. Even if that doesn't influence someone to vote differently, it at least humanizes me. Because we've now been convinced that, like, the other side is the enemy. And we've lost that humanity side of things. And so it has been interesting to see people just kind of do the mental gymnastics on that.
Yeah.
And that goes both ways. Like, I've learned a lot from the people that have come through my shop and the people I've interacted with, because there's been a lot of people that I never would have sort of organically approached or had a conversation with. But I don't know, trying to just foster local relationships and really kind of nurture the fact that, like, we're all human and we're all in it together is really, really important. And I find that creativity is one of the easiest pathways that we find common ground.
That's so true.
I think too, and part of what has been so rewarding about teaching, as an example, is showing people what they're capable of. Like, we spend so much time scrolling and so much time consuming media that we don't even really want to consume.
No. God.
And it's been incredible to, host a class where for 2 hours or 2.5 hours, people put their phones down and we're all in a room and we're all going through this creative process together. And they have something to show for it at the end that they made with their own 2 hands, and we all had a nice conversation, and we all inspired each other. And in particular, it's been very inspiring to see the younger people who have taken my classes go through that process because, you know, I'm 36, so like I came up with the internet, but like my childhood was like solidly pre-cell phone and like pre-chronically online. And so the younger kids who come into my classes who have just always known this, it's so meaningful for them to slow down and to unplug and to do something.
They're so
like
sick of
this.
it.
They really are.
Which makes me so excited.
It's so inspiring because and like the hot button word seems to be analog, but them doing like these analog crafts. And I'm so excited to nurture that and to have a place where like anyone is my studio is fully accessible to anyone who wants to come in and learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Like that's my goal. And you know, bookbinding is kind of a dying art. If I can inspire somebody to continue this, then that's what I'm going to do.
That's really exciting. And also, there's just this confidence that you get out of making something with your hands that it's irreplaceable.
It's magic.
It's magic. And that confidence sticks with you for weeks.
Yep.
And inspires you to try something else or do it again.
And like I said, my goal with teaching these workshops is that you're learning a skill that you can replicate. Like I want you, and no way am I forcing you to love it. It's okay if you come in and you decide it's not for you. But my goal is that you come in, you have a positive experience, and you walk away from that experience feeling confident in yourself that you can go home and you can do it again.
Yeah.
And that, you know, if you learn the pamphlet stitch, you're digging through your recycling bin to see what you have for paper materials. I promise you there's treasure in there.
Yeah.
And you're making books for everybody you know. And then suddenly your friend is journaling or just writing about, you know, what's bothering them that day. It's contagious. It's contagious.
It is.
You know?
And I've seen like the junk journaling thing start to get popular again, which not really sure how it's different than scrapbooking, but I'm okay with that. I like junk journaling better. It's like more punk sounding. Whereas like when scrapbooking started getting popular way back in the day, it was very like, I don't know.
It's I think that scrapbooking has like historically had the image of being more sort of like refined. It's like this is the family vacation. It's like the Instagram feed, right? It's highly curated.
Yeah.
Whereas I think junk journaling is more of the like, this is the receipt from the gas station, and like here's the straw wrapper from a coffee that was banging. You know, like there's a little bit more of that just sort of day-to-day realism to junk journaling, and I think that that's so cool.
I love it. I just went to an art show and they had a vendor that basically sold little junk journal packets, like stickers. And I bought one. I was like, hell yeah, I need a little tiny one that I can put into my journal that I made that's kind of janky. But also one thing I'm really bad at is cutting straight lines. And I think that's what intimidates me most about making journals or cutting paper, which I'm sure you have like a mistake-proof process for people.
Yes and no. I mean, what I remind people is that more often than not, this is the first time that they're making a book. This is the first time that they're engaging in this process. And I'm there to walk you through it. I'm there to help you through it. If you need me to kind of help you refine, like cutting an edge or whatever it is, I'm there for you. But I'm also going to give you the skill. And a lot of it is just repetition. And I encourage people not to compare themselves to other students or to me. You know, people are like, oh my God, you just did that like in 2 seconds. And it's like, yeah, well, I've been doing this for like, 12, 13 years. And like there's been a lot of practice.
I blame the internet for this because everybody's got this like perfectionism or death.
Yeah.
And myself included.
I have made tons and tons of ugly books. I have books.
Yeah. I make my specialty is like half-assed art. That's me. But I don't know. being comfortable with not being perfect. Also, I'm not sick.
No, it's fine.
I'm just a smoker.
You're good.
Picked it back up recently.
Yeah.
Cigarettes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not weed. Too anxious for that.
Yeah.
What do you want people to do after hearing this? Leave it at that.
My hope is that you feel inspired in some way.
Yeah.
The sort of small business marketing mind in me is like, stop by, come say hi, come see my space. It's a dual purpose space. It's a retail space, but it's also my workspace. So you can come in, you can see what I'm working on, you can ask me questions, you can see the equipment, you can see the process. If you're in the area and you're able, sign up for a class, like come hang out with me, learn how to make a book. There's so much to explore. Like it's such an incredible and rewarding process. And so my hope is that if you've been looking for your sign to like make something, maybe try this.
Yeah. It's not something that comes up very in your feed or circles. And what I love about having people on this podcast is that it's 100% self-serving. Am I going to come to your class? Hell yeah. Am I going to vlog it? Probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to show people.
Yep.
But also, I just love seeing people in their element, seeing people just how they work, their process, but also seeing everybody else in the class and how it's just a really great moment that we took for granted before the internet started.
Yeah. The energy is amazing. When you get a group of people together who are brave enough to face their curiosity and like willing to make a mistake, the things that they make surprise them.
What I love to see too is when people come alone and they're kind of shy at first, but by the end of the class, they've got
We're all friends.
Everybody's got everybody's number, or or just seeing somebody recognize maybe that person's a little uncomfortable and they reach out.
Right. That's
humanity that we're missing. I'm gonna cry again. But no, I just love that.
Yeah. No, it's a really, for me as like the teacher, it's a really rewarding process. And I always say in my classes, I'm a perpetual student. I am forever learning. Like I learn from my students all the time. And that exchange of information is like sacred ground, there's something to that. And it's rewarding for anyone who's willing to show up and put in the work.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for coming and just letting me understand your world a little better.
Happy to be here.
And we'll leave it at that.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Check the show notes on where to find Dana and the Shuttle Press Bindery. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.